So did you know that you could use your Apple Watch as a biometric unlock to replace things like Touch ID or Face ID, or that you can use your Apple Watch as a very bright flashlight in dark situations, or finally that it is now your Tesla key and you no longer need to carry your phone around? These are just some of the features that I use on a daily basis of 20 that I'm going to share with you today. So without further ado, let me explain to you why the Apple Watch is my most used and my most worn Apple product of all time. Let's get into it. But now before we continue, if you do enjoy videos like this one, definitely consider subscribing to the channel because it motivates us to make more content like this on a more frequent basis. But now let's get into the first feature, which has to be my most used feature, which is unlocking your Mac or your iPhone with just your Apple Watch. Well, alright everyone, let's hop right into it, and here I have my Satin Black Ultra 2. And the first we're going to talk about is being able to unlock your Mac via your Apple Watch as opposed to using something like Touch ID or typing in your password. Two things to note about this. First and foremost, you do need to go into your settings into your Mac in order to get this done. So go into your settings, scroll down to where it says login and passwords, and you should have an option as long as you're under the same Apple ID between your Mac and your Apple Watch. You should have a little toggle to toggle this on to be able to unlock it. And then the second thing is that you must have a passcode on your Apple Watch in order for any of the following kind of login and password protective kind of credential things that we're going to talk about, because there's a few of them. So make sure that you do have a passcode on your Apple Watch. But it's very easy. Once that's all set up, you get a little buzz on your wrist, which says that Mac Mini is unlocked by your Apple Watch, and then voila, you are fully unlocked. So all you have to do is wake up your screen and it unlocks, and you don't have to type in any password. Now this next one is pretty much the same exact thing, but it's going to be for your iPhone this time. And I do want to reiterate that this isn't really meant to fully replace your Face Unlock or your Face ID, but it is kind of nice to make sure that this feature is turned on. So just go into your settings, go into the toolbar, type in Unlock with Apple Watch, tap on here, and then you're going to want to scroll all the way to the bottom where it says Unlock with Apple Watch. Right now I do have it toggled off just to show you guys, but if you toggle this on, that means that it will unlock. Now when you do toggle it on, you get this prompt right here, which is basically saying that, hey, this isn't really to replace Face ID, it's to kind of help augment it and supplement it. It basically, whenever you use Face ID and you have maybe sunglasses on, or maybe you're wearing a mask, and it can't really figure out if that's actually you or not, it'll then use the Apple Watch on your wrist as a biometric kind of second-hand version of being able to unlock it, and then it will unlock your iPhone the same way that it unlocks your macOS computer. And then the last big one when it comes to kind of these biometric password autofills is going to be the ability to autofill any passwords that are either in your Safari password manager or even in your Chrome password manager. It'll then prompt your Apple Watch, and you can double click on the side of your watch to let you input that password or autofill it on your Mac, which is awesome to see. So you don't have to remember anything, nor do you need to have a Touch ID enabled keyboard or any sort of Face ID. It just kind of acts as another biometric way, or almost as a 2FA when it comes to logging into any of these kind of portals or whatever the case may be. Now this one's relatively new to watchOS 10, I believe, and watchOS 11, but one of the applications that was added is going to be the remote application. So if you do have an Apple TV, this is now another way for you to interact with it. So the first one's going to be the actual physical remote, the second one, which is going to be the remote that you can use with your iPhone, and now you have your Apple Watch remote, which works great if you are trying to control your Apple TV without either of those remotes, or maybe you just don't have those laying around. You can now control your Apple TV with your Apple Watch. The next big one that came, and it wasn't really an Apple Watch feature per se, but an application that now supports this, is going to be if you have a Tesla. So if you have a Tesla, the application now fully works as an actual key as opposed to even just controlling things. Because I believe before we could control things, but now you can actually use it as an NFC key. You do not need to have your iPhone anymore in order to be considered having a key next to your Tesla. So it's always nice to know that now you have the ability to use your Apple Watch as a full-on key for your Tesla. Next up is going to be one that I used for years and years. It's going to be the camera remote. So if I open up the camera remote, it should open up the camera application on my iPhone to the right, which it did. And now I'm able to use the remote on the Apple Watch to control things like the zoom. So you can see if I zoom in, it'll zoom in there as well. As you can see, it's changing. Right now, of course, it's facing down, so you can't really see anything, but you can see that it is zooming all the way in, so you can use the scroll wheel for that. You then have a timer right here, so if I tap on there, it's going to give you a 3-second countdown to take that image, which is cool to see. And then you do have some other options here. For example, you can press on the 3 dots to change the timer if you want to, change the camera from front to back, change the flash if you want to, the live photos, then we can press done. And then also if you hold this down, it actually turns into a video recording that you can actually pause, as well as take a snapshot of, and then finally stop the recording altogether. So it's a pretty robust and good way to use as a viewfinder if you do need it, whether it is for casual or even some professional use as well. Now this next one is one that's been around for a while, but it's one that I only recently started using. So if you go and press the right button here, you actually have all these kind of utilities on here, and one of them is going to be the flashlight. Now this thing, I know before you knock it, it's actually very impressive because it can get very, very bright, very dim. You can slide it to the right to get kind of like a flasher going as well. And again, this is going to work very good in dark environments. And then obviously you have your red one as well if you need something that's a different color. And if you tap on the screen, it gets darker or brighter depending on what you need exactly. So if you guys maybe are in a dark closet, you're trying not to wake somebody up, but you need a little bit of extra light, this is going to be a great little solution. And then in that same menu, something that I use all the time is going to be pinging your iPhone. So if you press on this, it's going to ping your iPhone right here, but now it also gives you the same animation that you used to have with Find My and AirTags, and I'm even getting haptic feedback right now with the Apple Watch and the iPhone, which is great to see, and even get a little check mark. Another good one is going to be actually around your sleep focus. So if we go into, let's say, our alarm, you actually have the ability over here to set a sleep-wake schedule. So if we press change here, then this is actually going to happen every single day, or you have an ability to, again, create this as your sleep mode. So now if I do press done, and I turn on sleep mode over here in my focus modes, that means I'm going to be woken up with that. But alongside that, what I love about it is that when you are using your Apple Watch to sleep with, first and foremost, it's going to wake up and default to your Apple Watch, and it's going to wake you up via haptic feedback. Kind of hard to show off in this video, but basically it's not going to sound off your phone alarm. It's not going to wake up maybe your partner next to you or somebody else who's in the room or in the area. It'll just slowly but surely buzz your arm until you finally wake up. And then you also get this awesome kind of good morning layout that is hard to bring up, but I did tweet about it, so I'll post it right now. But it basically lets you know what the temperature is, says good morning, and like I said, it slowly wakes you up instead of kind of this abrupt alarm that's very annoying to deal with. The next two I'm going to bring up is going to be all about health tracking and sleep tracking. I don't want to go too in depth with this, but I just wanted to bring it up because it is something that I use on a daily and nightly basis. So I use the health app a ton when it comes to the Apple Watch, whether it is workouts or just kind of static activity that I do around the house and things like that. I haven't worked out today, so that's something to consider, but you can see that it does kind of fluctuate up and down. So if I go on a day like Thursday, you know, I went on a run on these last days over here, but I didn't run on these days. So I love gamifying kind of my fitness and wellness overall. And then a big one is going to be sleep tracking. So if we go all the way down, so if you go into the browse section and then go into where it says sleep, you get to see an idea and a breakdown of your sleep schedule and your sleep cycle overall. And what I like about this kind of sleep situation is that I am testing other fitness and wellness kind of hardware like rings especially, and they always give you some sort of sleep score. What I like about the Apple one is that it doesn't give you an actual number score, it just lets you know whether or not you slept and what your kind of statistics are. So it's not gamifying it from that point because maybe you did have a good night's rest, but maybe the ring or the Apple Watch was kind of fit on weird, and maybe it'll let you know like, hey, you got a terrible night's rest and you got a 50 out of 100. That's going to ruin your day. So Apple's just basically putting all the information in front of you and letting you determine what's going on with your sleep overall. And then the last one's going to be all about sleep apnea, which is the newest thing that came to your Apple Watch with watchOS 11. Being able to detect sleep apnea to an extent is something that I think is going to be very beneficial for a lot of people. Another one that I personally use because I'm posting a lot about the Apple Watch is just screenshotting. So screenshotting, you just tap the right two buttons. It'll screenshot, and then if you go down here and go into your photos, you can see that it shows up right in your photos pretty much immediately. So if you are somebody that likes to maybe post screenshots or show off what's going on in your Apple Watch, that's how you do that. And then to take this a step further, if I go into my settings and then go into accessibility, you actually have the ability to mirror your Apple Watch. So if we go down here to Apple Watch mirroring, turn this on, you then give it a second, you can see that now whatever's going on my Apple Watch is actually happening down on the iPhone again as well. So as you can see, I'm scrolling through here. And then what I like about this is that you can also use the screen to actually scroll through things virtually. You even have the ability to tap on something like the digital crown. You have the ability to tap here as well to then be able to ping things. So I like this kind of function just in case you want to show something off and be able to show it off on your iPhone, which is a great and nice little touch. And then you just X out of here and then you're all good to go and it stops mirroring altogether. I did want to quickly mention this one, which is going to be the double tap feature. This only works with the Ultra 2 right now and the Series 10 and newer, the Series 9 and newer, I believe. But basically, it's a way to interact with your watch without actually physically touching it. And I use this a lot, especially for that remote camera. So if I go here, tap on the camera remote, let it connect for a second. So as you can see, it's going to open it up, and if I double tap, it'll actually start that timer and actually start the camera. So it is beneficial to a certain extent, not something that I use all the time, but I do use it pretty frequently. And now the last few I did want to show off in regards to the Apple Watch application. So if we go into the Watch app, there's a few things that I wanted to show here. So first is going to be how we actually organize the app view. So if we go into app view, as you can see right now, if I go into my apps, and I go here, it's in a list view that's in alphabetical order, which is different than what I used to do. I used to actually have this grid view right here, which kind of moves it around and changes it up and down. They actually even changed this grid view a little bit compared to the last watchOS updates, but still a great way to see it. And you have two options. You can change it to list view from down here, or you can go into the application itself and change it that way, depending on what you prefer. The next one's going to be the action button. So the action button is going to be this orange button on the left-hand side of your Apple Watch, depending on which orientation you're using it. And for me, you have the ability to actually go into the action button here and customize it to all these different kind of predetermined things, with the most amount of customization coming from the shortcuts, because you can basically do whatever shortcut you want into the action button, similar to the action button on your iPhone. So if I go on here and I tap on here, it's going to open up the workout. It's not going to start the workout, it's going to open up the workout section. And you can even determine that. So if I want to press this and I want it to just start the workout right away, so it's one less step, you can do that. But then the second thing is going to be the quick switch. The quick switch is when you tap here and hold it down for a split second, you feel a little bit of feedback, and then you have the ability to decide which one you actually want to use in the moment. So it's nice to know that you have basically the full menu of the action button whenever you need to, and you don't have to like limit yourself to just one action button press. And then lastly, you can actually hold this down and hold it down for about 3 seconds, and it will turn on the Siren. I'm not going to do this now because it kind of alerts emergency SOS after a certain period. So if you are in an emergency situation, tap and hold your action button for about 3 seconds and you'll get the sirens. So this next one is going to be an alarm that's about to sound off, and basically no matter what's going on your Apple Watch screen, right now it's buzzing, and if I didn't have it in a certain focus mode, it would be very loud. So what you can do, no matter what situation you're in, you can just put your palm on here and it'll turn everything off. So now it stopped ringing. You can actually redo it if you want to, but it's basically a way to shut off the screen and shut off all noise that's coming from it. So if you have a phone call that's coming in, you just put your entire palm on there and it goes away. So I like doing that because, again, I'm in situations where maybe I can't figure out what I need to press. If I just want to completely turn it off and completely stop any noise or any haptic feedback, just tap the screen and you're good to go. And then the last thing I do want to bring up is going to be Apple Pay on your Apple Watch. So again, very self-explanatory. You just double tap on the bottom right button. It's going to bring up all your different cards and whatever tickets you have over here. You use it the same way you use Apple Pay on your iPhone. You tap in and then you'll be good to go. But that will just about do it for this video, everybody. As you saw, there's an abundance of different features that you could take advantage of with your Apple Watch. And I do want to mention that as long as you have a relatively modern Apple Watch, whether I believe it's anything above the Apple Watch Series 6, most, if not all, these features will work. You do not need the latest Apple Watch Ultra 2 in satin black in order to get these to work, but that'll do it. Leave a comment down below what you guys think of all these features. Do you use them? Have you used them before? Are there any other features that maybe I left out that you think I should know about? Let's discuss those in the comments down below. But if you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, definitely consider watching one of these 2 videos right here, because YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy them. But until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everybody.